Welcome to the WrestleTalk News. I'm Quinnell. Yesterday was a big day for wrestling news, with WWE announcing a new network deal for SmackDown going to the USA Network, which is worth a reported $1.4 billion, as well as announcing February's Elimination Chamber event will be taking place in Perth, Australia. And what better way to celebrate than to release a bunch of your talent from the company. This followed on from the employee layoffs that happened last week, which was reportedly over 100 people. The main roster cuts initially began first, with NXT cuts coming later. The full list of released wrestlers across yesterday and today currently is Mustafa Ali, Emma, Rick Boogs, Aaliyah, Elias, Top Dollar, Riddick Moss, Shelton Benjamin, Dolph Ziggler, Quincy Elliott, Bryson Montana, Dana Brooke, Mace, Mansoor, Dabba-Kato, Shanky, Yulisa Leon, Daniel MacArthur, Kevin Ventura Cortez, Alexis Gray, and Brooklyn Barlow. There's been a ton more info on these releases that has come out, so we're going to go through them individually. Mace and Mansoor were part of the Maximum Male Models, initially joined by LA Knight, then going by Max Dupree, and later Maxine Dupree. It had long been reported that they had been taken off TV to be repackaged, though of course that didn't end up happening. There were also reports of a bit of a struggle between Triple H and Vince McMahon as to how MMM should be portrayed on screen, with Triple H encouraging them to be more flamboyant and Vince not liking it. Mace and Mansoor did a Twitch stream yesterday following their releases, where they spoke on a bunch of different stuff. It's around 4 hours in length, so go check that out if you want the full thing, but here's some highlights. The pair put over both LA Knight and Maxine Dupree, saying there was no ill will to either of them for leaving Maximum Male Models, specifically with Knight essentially strapping the rocket to his own back. They also called Maxine the Trish of the group while they were Test and Albert. The two also showed 2 pitch videos they made for potential new gimmicks for them. One being the Fixers, people who would be heavies for another wrestler and fix any issues with threats. The other was for a group called The Answer, a pyramid scheme for a cult, which just sounds great on paper already. Some ideas for stories they had were also mentioned, with Mansoor pitching that they would have a match with Cody Rhodes. He would hit the crossroads on Mansoor and it would break his nose, and Mansoor would then essentially do the undashing gimmick that Cody had done in the past, this time with Cody being the catalyst for it. They also spoke about where the feud with Alpha Academy was originally supposed to go, with Mansoor mentioning that Maxine was going to entice Otis to join the group, and on one night there was going to be the Otis's big debut, his unveiling as a Maximum Male Model, where Mace and Mansoor would dunk him with slime. Gable would try and make the save, but would get beaten up, and Otis would then realize his true friend was Chad all along and save him, setting up a tag match between them. After the duo were pulled from TV, they were seemingly told they weren't going to be on TV again until they'd been repackaged. But despite that, they were included in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which angered someone backstage as they weren't supposed to be on TV. This happened again in the Intercontinental Championship Battle Royal, which led to them stopping traveling entirely. I also want to include this quote from Mansoor, just because. I will say this, watching wrestling from home is one of the worst feelings in the world. Imagine you have a dream job. You get that dream job, but while you're working there, you're not allowed to do it. It really feels like you're trapped under ice and you're banging the top trying to get up. I literally felt like watching other people do what I wanted to do was like watching my wife get f***ed. The worst part is, not even that well. I could be doing it better. No offense to the cucks in the chat. No offense to the cucks in the chat. Funny man. Mustafa Ali was another release that happened yesterday, which came as a shock to many considering he was already announced for an NXT No Mercy match against Dominic Mysterio for the North American title. Ali had asked for his release back in 2021, but was rejected. Fightful Select is reporting that Ali's deal was due to expire in June 2024, and also that Vince McMahon had asked Ali to do some stuff that he never would have done, and that refusal led to some issues. Ali will forever remain one of the biggest what-ifs in WWE for me, as he came within touching distance of a world title not once, but twice, missing out on the Gauntlet match due to injury and being replaced by Kofi Kingston, which led to Kofi Mania, and being replaced as the winner of Money in the Bank by Brock Lesnar at the last second. After being called up from NXT in mid-2017, Elias quickly became one of WWE's featured heel acts. The crowd reactions were often insane for the Drifter, most memorably that one Kevin Owens segment in Seattle. However, as time went on, his position dwindled, and in recent years, Elias would disappear for sizable chunks of time, as reports of a gimmick change were teased in 2021, with WWE reportedly having big plans for him upon his return, according to Dave Meltzer. What eventually surfaced was Ezekiel in April 2022, which was clearly 100% a Vince gimmick, as after Triple H took creative, Zeke and all his Zeke freaks were killed off, seeing the return of Elias once again. Yet from late 2022 onwards, he again didn't really feature a lot, last appearing in May in an over-the-top rope battle royal on Raw. Fightful Select noting that his absence was not injury-related, and Elias was in fact pitching creative ideas up until a month ago. The release of Dolph Ziggler, a near 20-year WWE veteran was one that perhaps shook most the hardest when the names began filtering out yesterday. Undoubtedly one of the absolute best pro wrestlers on the planet during his peak, Ziggler was an internet darling and a true favorite of the hardcore wrestling fans during the early to mid-2010s. His list of accomplishments runs a mile long, but sadly still feels like more could have been achieved with him during his time in WWE. While Ziggler himself has yet to comment formally on his release, all you need to do is to see how much the man is adored and appreciated by scrolling through X. A litany of names from various promotions took to the platform to pay tribute to Dolph, including Big E, Wade Barrett, Dustin Rhodes, Renee Paquette, Shawn Spears, Trinity, Matt Cardona, the list goes on. Yet when you have both Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and John Cena both hailing your tenure, then you realize just how special Dolph was. John Cena first posted to X highlighting the staggering amount of TV matches Ziggler racked up: 1,554 matches. #respect. While Rock similarly posted a rundown of all of Dolph's accomplishments along with a message of support for he and other talents cut. Just seeing all these releases now, these days so effing tough for the ones who gave their all to our crazy world of pro wrestling. Like Dolph Ziggler, what a decorated WWE career, and I'll always be a supporter and fan. Can't wait to see what he and everyone does next. #onward. According to Fightful Select, Ziggler was actually ready to leave WWE years ago, but he got talked into staying with the company, with his deal reportedly originally set to extend into next summer. I think many fans have always wondered what Ziggler would have been capable of outside of WWE's walls, with numerous dream matches waiting for him in AEW, New Japan, etc., so perhaps we'll get our wish. Aaliyah, according to Fightful Select, was sadly a name expected to be on the list of names by many in the company. Despite being signed to WWE since 2015, she'd not often been utilized on WWE TV, spending 6 years in NXT before finally being called up to the main roster in 2021. While Aaliyah's time as part of SmackDown was not the most prolific of runs, she did end with a bang, surprisingly capturing the vacant Women's Tag Championships alongside Raquel Rodriguez. However, this run will be cut short due to injury this time last year. Despite reportedly being cleared to return just a couple months later, the 28-year-old never returned to a WWE ring. Fightful Select noted that she was rarely even backstage at TV tapings and had not been factored in creatively for a long time. The running theme of creative seemingly having nothing for the names released was particularly evident with Riddick Moss, who was sadly let go along with his real-life fiancée, Emma. Despite Moss being pushed to a decent degree under his madcap gimmick, both as a heel alongside Baron Corbin and afterwards after splitting away as a singles act, his stock seemingly fell again once Triple H took creative control in late 2022. While Moss did jokingly poke fun at this sentiment in his statement on X following his release, it turns out there was some truth to him having some prominent supporters in the company and others who felt very different. According to Fightful Select, Moss was, behind the scenes anyway, a Paul Heyman guy, with the wise man reportedly a big fan of Moss. Heyman was such a fan, in fact, that he felt that Moss could eventually reach main event level in WWE. However, many others reportedly didn't share that sentiment, with Moss struggling to get on TV. Shanky was another name not entirely unexpected to be on the chopping block considering his lack of TV time, and Fightful Select backs this up with Sean Ross Sapp mentioning on a live stream he's not been factored into creative whatsoever since Triple H has been in control. It wasn't there in the ring, wasn't able to get over as well. They did the match in India sort of as an, alright, we'll keep him here until then, and then we'll cut him loose type of thing. Yelisa Leon is also in the list of releases here, but unlike seemingly all the others, Fightful Select is reporting that she actually asked for her release rather than being fired. So, why did all this happen? Well, reports of talent cuts were rumbling for a while, particularly this time last week on September 15th, when over 100 office employees were laid off, something that came as a direct result of WWE's merger with the UFC under the new company TKO. And what do you know, turns out, according to Fightful Select, that the merger was also the reason behind these roster cuts too. Despite many of the names such as Moss, Mace, Mansoor, and Shanky all falling under the bracket of talent that Triple H seemingly didn't know what to do with, the game in fact had no input on the names let go, with the releases instead in direct correlation to the merger. Unsurprisingly, the news of cuts has led to frustration amongst talent, according to Fightful, namely due to WWE's always excellent timing of announcing cuts so close to major money-making deals being closed. In this case, the $1.4 billion SmackDown USA TV deal and February's massive Elimination Chamber event from Perth, Australia. But also because many within WWE reportedly thought that the days of mass roster cuts were behind them, with agreed deals instead being allowed to expire. While many of the stars released could be described as fringe talent, with few, aside from Ali and Brooke, being featured on WWE TV, a top star within WWE interestingly noted to Fightful Select that most of the names on the list barely had a chance to ever turn their fortunes around in the company, obviously due to the fact that they were never being booked on TV, poignantly calling it a circle that couldn't be escaped. Now, it's not the happiest of news videos today, but if you'll indulge me for a second, I've got a little trailer for a project coming very soon that I'd like to share that hopefully leaves you a little more excited and happy than before.
Yes! Number one! You knew it from the start. start. But once again, it is a win for me, and it is a loss for you.
Congratulations, sir.
Which means I am number one. I win season 3. It's the 3-peat, everybody. Can I be stopped?
Well, you know, people, there's always next season.
Welcome to the Wednesday Night War.
This is season 3.5.
Dan representing Wednesday Night NXT 2.0. Laurie representing Wednesday Night NXT.
And whoever wins this season, there's a big prize up for grabs because they will be joining me and Luke when we play season 4 of
The Wednesday Night War.
So yeah, the Monday Night War is back, except it's the Wednesday Night War, and it'll be Dan Layton versus Laurie, the winner joining me and Luke for Season 4. Be a 3-player Season 4. Join us on Monday for the Draft Day episode on Parts of Unknown, and next Wednesday for the first stream in the series. And if you don't know what the Monday Night War is, here's the Draft Day episode for Season 3. You can give it a watch and get caught up before Monday. It's fun. Promise.